Welcome into the Dad Verb Podcast, where you chat parenting from the lens of a dad. My name is Andrew. If you're watching on YouTube today, we got a guest. We got a returning guest here. It's one of our mods. It's Andrew Saunders calling in from Utah. We're going to be chatting about food today and a couple other things. And then, as usual, I'm joined by my buddy Ben Brown.
What's up?
We'll start with Ben. How's it been?
Oh, it's been good. It's been a good week. Just got we were talking a little pre-show. Just got back from a 2-year-old's birthday party with some like old college friends of ours. Super cool. You know, bit of a rough ride home with the 2 kids, but I think it was just kind of a late night, going a bit nuts. Kids screaming in the back seat, and
how tense did it
was
get?
Tough. Real tense, really tense. Mom hopped in the back seat to try and help calm everybody down, and that didn't go well. And yeah, it was, we had to have a bit of a come to Jesus moment with our almost 3-year-old, because pinching and kicking were the name of the game to get some attention back there. So, you know,
yeah, it got to the point where dad had to pull over and talk to his kids. So that's when it gets bad.
Luckily, we were in our neighborhood. We had like just pulled in, but it was like escalating. And I finally just stopped the car, got around to the side, and was like, "Look, man, put your hands in your lap. Don't take them out of your lap until we pull in the driveway. Like, just don't touch your mother anymore."
Yeah. Yep.
And so it was good. He understood the gravity of the situation after that, which was real solid. And then we had a little chat afterwards while he was brushing his teeth of like, you know, why were we talking like that? Why was this an issue? What can we do to avoid this in the future? So we had to do a little backtracking and recovery, because I probably didn't handle it the best I could have in the moment, but you know, we nipped it in the bud, and I think we learned a lesson. So hopefully,
I'm going to assume that when you pulled over and you did the dad voice, didn't you? You went like, hey, you put your hands in your lap, like you went full.
Yeah, voice drops like half an octave, and you make direct eye contact.
Yeah,
you go, listen.
Listen.
You know,
this is what's going to happen.
I didn't realize it until I was a dad, but drill sergeant voice is the same as dad voice. Like they're the.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
It's the exact same, but it's amazing how well it works. But that's I'm not yelling. You want to hear me yell? Oh, that's dad voice. Yeah, okay, I got it.
So I leading up to recording here, I was putting the kids to bed, and I gotta say today was a good day with my boys. It was a good calm day, not that much. The only bad thing was Colin punched Henry square in the back. But it was fine. It could have worked.
Like you do as a brother.
Brothers.
I'm putting the kids to bed, and Henry's brushing his teeth. Colin's just wandering around in the room, just kind of sitting there getting ready with the books, because we do this reading thing. And then Colin farts near my face, and he turns to me and goes, "Oh, I tooted." I was like, "I know." And he goes, "It smells like I just pooped." I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "Did you like it?" I was like, "No, I hated it." And he goes, "Okay." I'm like, the sequence of events with 4-year-olds, it's like, why would you think that I would like that? So it's, he gave me the idea.
Did you think it was funny?
So did you like this? And then I after that kind of inspired me. So I was like, dude, I got to go take a dump before we start recording here. Got to drop it out. And then Andrew texts me as I'm wrapping up. And he goes, "Hey, are you playing Marvel Snap on the toilet again?" I'm like, this dude effing hacked my phone. I was so impressed. I literally looked at my phone and I was like, well, yeah. And then I just texted him back, always. Like I was playing a Galactus deck, and I had won as he was texting me. It was great. It was a great way to finish off before hopping onto this podcast.
I was just going off the 15-minute late text message and the entire dad time toilet podcast. Like, it was really just a guess. Like, he's late. I bet he's pooping.
If someone knows our podcast and someone knows our scheduling, it's Andrew right here. This dude knows. He knows me without knowing me. It's amazing. But
I do what I can, man.
Dude. So anyway, we're on here today. We're going to be chatting about food, our experiences with food. I think as parents, feeding can arguably be one of the most difficult parts of parenting in some instances. And that goes from babyhood, right? Feeding, whether it's like breastfeeding or formula feeding, those have their own difficulties respectively. And then as the kids get older, they can start to be picky. They might not like gravitate towards certain foods, or they'll just gobble it all up. So, we're going to be chatting about that, how we've kind of dealt with feeding, what recipes may or may not have worked. Andrew is one of our mods here from our Discord, and he single-handedly runs the food channel of the Discord. It's just him posting images of his kids eating gracefully.
Gracefully, yeah.
That's why he's here. But yeah, we're gonna chat about that, and then maybe even discuss. We might dabble in a little bit of summer travel, summer road trips. Actually, that was a comment that came in, and I just completely it just went way over my head. A comment came in about like, hey, can you talk about like road trip gear or just like things for that? And I never hit on that. And honestly, off the top of my head, I might semi struggle to come up with it. I'm sure I could come up with it, but that might be something that we might hit on.
Having spent 24 hours in a vehicle with an 18-month and a 3-month-old in the last 14 days, I got advice.
Okay. Well, then here we go, man.
So when you're ready, let me know.
Andrew, we're going to hit that. We're going to hit that, and we're going to run with that. So without further ado, Andrew, really happy that you're back here after
Thank you.
You were with us like episode 2, 3. Man,
it's been a couple months.
It's been a minute, but happy to have you back. We've got to have more of the mods and more of just the people on the Discord come onto the thing, because I pull fully away from the Discord and just let the dad community be the dad community and chat. And we've got some active voices on there. So I'm gonna reach out to some of you guys and get you guys on the podcast. But let's talk about food. Let's talk about chatting. Let's talk about chatting. What is wrong with me, man? What's wrong with me?
Chatting.
Let's talk about chatting.
Let's
have a nice chat about the IMs we're sending on the chat client.
Let's AIM, ASL. Okay, so when it comes to food, Andrew, for you and your experience, you've got 2 kiddos. Your oldest is how old now?
18 months, 19 months now.
How has food been for you? Did you go the baby-led weaning route and then kind of graduate up from there? What was your guys' approach? What was your approach? Because you're Mr. Chef as well.
You're gonna get some personal guilty pleasure information here.
Tell me.
While we were pregnant with our first kid, one of Andrew's weird guilty pleasures is I like to watch Below Deck, which is a Bravo show about yachties.
You watch Below Deck?
I do. And there's 2 reasons why. I get 2 good reasons. They cook amazing food and it looks gorgeous, and they feature it on every episode. Okay. And they go to spectacular locations. Okay. In addition to which, it really strikes that like Road Rules, real world teenage
Trash
vibe
TV.
in my life that is garbage TV. However, there was a crucial moment on one of the episodes in one of the seasons where this dude, who was a multimillionaire, brings a 4-year-old and a 3-year-old onto a multi-million-dollar yacht. And the chef's going, God, I don't want to cook for these kids. I always have to make weird macaroni. And you know what the dad says? He eats what we eat, or he doesn't eat at all. And the chef was like, wait, what?
Okay.
Yeah.
Like, and then my brain went, wait, you can do that? Like, right? Because I'm sitting here going, all of my friends' kids are picky. They all eat like nothing but chicken strips and fries and mac and cheese. That's Kraft mac and cheese. Anyway, so that was the moment in which I decided my kid is not going to be a picky eater by dad's choice. Right. So I actually have a sign in my kitchen that says, kitchen, where friends and family come to eat what's served or go to bed hungry. And everyone under the age of 18 who walks into my house has to read that sign before they eat a meal at my home so that they understand what the rules are. And it's weird, but they all get it and they all eat. And I get it, right? Like, I got a buddy's kid who hates mushrooms. So when I cook with mushrooms, I don't expect him to eat the mushrooms. He hates the texture. Like, it's not a problem, right? But he isn't allowed to just go, I'm not eating. Right?
Oh, okay.
Anyway,
gotcha.
so
I got you.
So we that's how I've been raising my kid. And as soon as the doctor kind of said, sure, you can start feeding her stuff. I think it was around 4 or 5 months. She was getting pureed, those little Gerber yogurt bites that dissolve. We did her first like solid food was after she had her bottom 2 teeth. I let her chew on a dill pickle. And she literally scraped all the seeds out of a dill pickle sitting at this little Italian deli.
Sucked it down.
And she did. She just sucked on it until it was dry. She loved it.
That's that's actually an interesting, because it's a strong flavor for a baby.
Right.
You know that.
Yeah. Our kids loved dill pickle spears too. Those are great. Yeah.
Her reward was a cannoli. So she had a dill pickle and then a cannoli, like back to back. So, and I didn't read anything on like baby led weaning. I read a few recipes on like making my own baby purees. And as I said in the Discord, and I think I put it on Facebook, like I will do this if there's interest, but frankly, it's a mess and it takes forever. And I have all the stuff to make a very good puree, thin sieve, and it took an hour just to get, a pint of decent baby food. And I was like, I'm not doing this again.
Yeah, I know.
But what works a lot better is just roasted vegetables.
Yeah.
Like I'll cut up a butternut squash into 1-inch cubes, throw it in the oven, salt, pepper, and she'll just sit there and chew on them. Right. So that's, again, it's all been, you eat what I eat, and here you go. Let's do this, right? And I mean, occasionally I worry about choking, but at this point, she runs around with a cheese stick and a thing of Cheerios in her hands all day long, and that's all she does. I mean, it's
so Ben, in your household, you eat what I eat. Does that go down smoothly for you as well?
For the most part, I think that we're pretty straightforward on. And again, so a little background on like my family, right? Like I grew up cooking. Like my grandmother cooked, my mom cooked. I was around them all the time. There's always something being made in the kitchen, whether it was, pies or stews or, just steak and potatoes or, liver and onions. Like there's all kinds of stuff being cooked all the time. And so I really kind of like fell in love with the kitchen at a young age. So I was always really taught to be like self-sufficient. Like you have to know your way around the kitchen in order to survive, right? Like someday you're going to move out of your house. You're going to need to know how to cook something. And so because I enjoyed it, I always kept pursuing cooking. You go through college and it's like, what can I cook that's cheap and fast? So it was like lots of rice and beans and chicken and what's filling but really easy. And my wife comes from a cooking family too. And so we always loved to make food, and my family used to really show their love through food. Like we're big people, like we're a family of big people, but we show our love through food. Like that was a big part of how we showed affection to each other, was we cook something. Now fast forward to having kids. One of the big things that we do is like, because we love to cook, I want to try and make sure my kids are getting something that's healthy. But a lot of times it's much easier to say, you eat what we eat. So, we got to the point where we did kind of a pseudo baby-led weaning, kind of a little bit different. We weren't giving them giving my son like real solid foods. So what we did is, at the recommendation of our pediatrician, we started with basics, bananas, avocados, just kind of mashed up where he could just kind of pick them up and eat them and get the texture and the flavor. As he got a little bit older, then we started with like cucumber slices, not slices, cucumber like spears. So something relatively soft that he could just chew on. And then by 6 to 8 months, we had done like high allergen foods. So we did like eggs, strawberries, peanut butter, all that stuff. Just expose him to it, see what works, see what doesn't. And from there, it opens up kind of like a whole world of possibilities of what you can make for your kid. But one of the best recipes that my wife found was, once you find out that your kids aren't allergic to eggs, you can make 2-ingredient pancakes. So you can do a savory pancake with like egg and broccoli, or egg and sweet potato. So once you're kind of through all the mashed stuff and they actually want to pick things up, those 2-ingredient pancakes are great because you can make them in a big batch, freeze them, thaw them out, keep them in the fridge for a week or so. And we would just warm them up. He could pick them up and chew on those, and was able to chew them up, get them down without really any real risk of choking. But what that opened us up to as well was like, now he's been exposed to sweet potatoes and asparagus and broccoli and all these different vegetables. And then you can start integrating, like, I think one of the first meats we gave him was like pot roast. So like, you know, fairly soft, strong flavors. Yeah, very soft, very tender, very strong flavors. He used to also really love like pastrami. He loved pastrami. So we would go to like our local deli and we could get like a big container of pastrami and just take that home and heat it up, and he would just eat it bit by bit all day long.
Right.
So he loves that sort of flavor. So now when I'm making, like, if I make a rack of ribs, he'll eat like a third of it, like just by himself. He's going to be 3 a month, and he'll just sit there and just crush like a rack of ribs, chicken wings. I made a brisket the other day, and he'll just crush brisket, cheese, like all these proteins that kids usually have issues with the texture. He's already been exposed to. You know, and every now and then, if he gets real picky, we'll make him something else. Or if we're just kind of lazy and like, I want to make something specific for my wife and I'll make something for him. But yeah, for the most part, he eats exactly what we eat.
Yeah, so I think the the kind of the ethos that Andrew laid out at the top here, you know, it's like you eat what we eat, or nothing at all, kind of a thing. It's I think, I know, for the most part,
not as easy as it sounds.
No, it's not as easy as it sounds. And obviously, there's going to be some bend and give here. You know, we're not as rigid, you know, authoritarians here. But I think I saw this, like, I don't know if it's like in all of France or whatever, but like that was like a common. There was like a debate about that I saw once on Instagram, and there was like a bunch of like French mothers that basically laid out that same ethos. It's like this you eat what we eat, and that's how it is. That's just how it goes. We're not going to tailor a whole like baby diet just for you. We need to get you exposed to certain things here and there. And for the most part, that's what we did as well. Very similar to kind of what Ben did. We did the baby led weaning thing with a little bit of the purees. And when we would cut up the vegetables and stuff like that, I think the general rule of thumb is like kind of make it like about the size of your index finger, same kind of width, same length. So that's something they can grab and gum down, and mitigate to the best of your ability, like the choking risks or whatever. And for the most part, our kids did really well. Up to 12 months, they ate like everything: scrambled eggs, rice, to just everything. And they ate it all except for honey, because babies can't have. Well, in Western culture, babies cannot have honey. I think in whether I think it's like if you're like Muslim or whatever, it's very traditional for people to give babies honey
up to like a year or 2 years.
Yeah, it's a year.
It's our botulism risk.
So that was my favorite pediatrician visit. I called it botulism day. I'm like, can I give them to him now? Does she have botulism? I'm like, and we went home, and I'm like, here's honey. Go. Let's chew on that for a while.
A spoonful of honey.
Yeah.
So there's So I mean, we did that, but I feel like when that 12-month mark hit, our kids got hella picky. They stopped eating, like Henry stopped eating these scrambled eggs that we would make them. He's like potatoes, he was just very averse to this. Like today, we would give him Chick-fil-A, whatever. And then just like a couple of years ago, like maybe a year or two ago, he just decided like, I hate French fries. I'm like, what kind of kid doesn't like French fries? Like now you're really making it difficult. We can't even default to French fries. Like, what is wrong with you? So like he's gotten very picky. But the problem is when your kids have completely different palates, and it's so annoying, and that's where we had to put our foot down. I'm like, I don't care that you want this and you want this. This is what we're all having, because I'm not gonna like. Colin is a little bit easier to please because he's the kind of kid that wants kind of what we eat. He's like, he hates peanut butter and jelly and all that, but he wants like cut up filet mignon. He wants like meat. That's like his thing. And then Henry is much more like, I want the peanut butter jellies, I want Cheez-Its, I want goldfish. I think Colin's a little bit more diverse when it comes to that, but it sucks when you have like two kids that just have completely different palates and wants, and you're just like battling back and forth. And there's just so many things. But I think it was it was Feeding Littles, this course that we took. It's a good course. I'll plug it down below. Not sponsored, whatever. It's a good course, but I think the way they laid it out, it's like smaller portions, and then give them something that they're used to, that they're definitely that's going to go down, raspberries, whatever, something new, right? And then something, and oh my gosh, I forgot the strategy. It was like something sweet, something salty, something, it's like the protein, the carb, all that. And I think it's like, if they don't touch that one new thing, it's going to take about like 20 tries before they'll like actually like open up to the idea of it. So don't be like super dismissive of it. But I used to get super in my head about like, man, the kid's not going to eat a thing. Like what? And I would get like so angry about it because I'm like, I want what's best for you. But like really, it all kind of works out. It's going to be fine if they don't finish their plate. But
they will survive.
Yeah, exactly. And then another thing is just like, there are so many things that I've heard about, like, well, again, in the course where like saying certain phrases, like one more bite, you got to finish everything on your plate, that actually can tend to create negative relationships with food that you might want to try to avoid. So, if don't force, and this is something that I personally need to work with, because in my head, I'm like, you got to eat, you got to, and there's the barter system. You want the ice cream
easily too.
Yeah. I mean, you default to that, but at the same time, I'm always in the back of my head just trying to be like, am I like creating these negative relationships with food where they just don't want to eat? I don't. So, I mean, it's something
if you don't eat, you don't make it. Right. So everybody's got to have a decent relationship with food at some point.
Yeah.
And I have a buddy who doesn't eat for flavor. He eats to stop the pain.
I have a buddy just like that too.
Right.
It's for energy. Food is an energy source. I've just never looked at food that way. But the way, sorry, I'm cutting you off here. The reason why he's like that is because when he was a kid, he was always kind of not even a picky eater. He just ate less. And his parents would be like, you're not eating enough. You have to eat. He's like, I'm done. My body's telling me, and it's all, again, it's always feeding littles. They're always talking about like, they want you to listen to your body. It's not about eating. It's about listening to your body. Right. And Andrew was forced to go. His name is also Andrew. I'm sorry.
And you're out. Yeah, this is a whole Andrew crew.
You gotta go.
It's a different Andrew. So it was his parents, like he ate to his fullness, which was just, I mean, he got full easy, but his parents made him surpass that level so much as a kid that to this day he has a negative relationship with it. And his parents, he notices that same attitude that his parents have as being cast down on his daughter. My buddy Andrew, his daughter, she eats to her fullness, and his parents are still like, hey, you need to keep on finishing your food. And he gets very defensive. He like wants to pull her out and be like, no. Like she said she's done. Leave her alone. So, and I think from a young age, he was built, there's a negative, relationship with food. And to this day, he only eats for energy. He doesn't eat for taste. So, I don't know. Sorry to cut you off.
No, you're fine. It's just an interesting way that, right? That's how we all figure out how to eat to our own flavors at some point, right? But yeah. The point I was going to get at with this guy is he enjoys really good food. Like if you give him something that's flavorful and good and right, he's like, wow, that's amazing. I'm like, yeah, you can eat like this all the time. You don't have to eat like grilled chicken sandwiches with mayonnaise and fries like every day, right? You can like vary it up, but he doesn't like, it's not a priority in his life. And so I don't know. Food's such a big thing in my life, and it sounds like it's a big thing in Ben's life too, that I want my kids to like and enjoy food and not just have it there for energy, right? Because there's a lot of delicious things in this world.
I feel like it's such we had a talk on an earlier episode about like sharing your culture with your kids.
Right.
And I think we had touched on this idea of like so much of culture is built into food. And so when I want my child to understand, if I want them to have a good, not just my culture, but any culture, I want them to experience another culture. One of the first places you can do that is with the food. But the only way you get to do that is by having a palate that's like advanced enough to be able to get those different flavors, those different textures, and understand it and say, I'm open to experiencing something new. And so the only way that works is by constant exposure to something new. And I want to go back to we talked a little bit about like sort of negative food relationships, and that's one of the things we've worked on in our house as well. Because we don't want our kids to have a negative relationship with food and what they're eating. We want them to be able to like listen to their body. So what I found myself doing is having to try to not be a food pusher, to say like once we set the food down in front of him, like if my son just doesn't eat, he's not hungry, or he goes off and does something else, he just decides not to eat. And I'll kind of coax a little bit and say, all right, can you just try it? See if you're going to like it. If you don't, but if he decides he's not going to eat, then it's just, he doesn't eat that night.
Yeah.
We'll give him like kind of one option of, let's see if there's something else that we eat, like a leftover or something that he likes. Like he loves fried rice. So we'll make him like, fried rice, and we'll just warm that up because it's something we've already made that's we know he enjoys. And then the other thing we tried that was at my wife's suggestion was we're trying to not develop a negative relationship with like sugar, like sweet treats.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things that we tried really early on that actually worked well is, kids tend to like gobble up sweet stuff, right? Like as soon as you give it to them, it's like, it's a thing that they never have. It's usually kind of off limits or forbidden. And so they just scarf it down and they'll overeat on like sugar and candy and all that. And like, I think if we let my son direct himself, he just eat Twizzlers all day.
I mean, yeah.
But one of the things we tried to do was like when we serve him dinner is he'll get all of his food and he'll get like a piece of chocolate or something on the plate too. So it all comes at once. So then it's not, I've got, my good food and then I get the treat.
It's like the
okay,
barrier.
this is just all a part of my plate and I'll have a little bit of the chocolate. And he would eat a piece of chocolate and then not want the rest of it and like finish other things on his plate. And so it was a really cool kind of psychological thing to see him with that relationship. So we'll see how that one pans out and if that's going to keep going in the future. But it seems to have worked well so far.
We recently started kind of doing something similar to that, but with Colin particularly, the kid is so stubborn. And we're having like Lunchables, for example, right? We're bad parents because we buy Lunchables, we give to our kids.
Oh my God.
So Lunchables,
I lived on those things. You're so terrible as a human being. You're never going to grow up to be an adult.
Kids will never survive.
Yeah.
So these Lunchables now, right? They have I didn't think they came like this when we were kids, but it's like the crackers, the ham, and the cheese. But now it comes with a couple Oreos in there too.
That's new.
Yeah,
we never
exactly. Now it's Oreos. And Henry will eat the whole thing. Colin, I just see these black Oreo crumbs and then the ham, cheese, crackers all left there, And we're like, Colin, you have to eat the rest too, okay? And then he'll like nibble. He'll just kind of like nibble and just like give me this mean look, like, you mother effer, like, don't
so
make me do this.
about it.
And I'm like, golly. So it's like, we try to give him the opportunity, but over and over again, the kid just fails us. So it's like, dude, what are we doing? And then here's the hard part, right? So, and then we do the thing that we're not supposed to do, where it's like, okay, you got to eat your pasta first, and then you can have and that's the thing. When they ask me for candy in the middle of the day or whatever, I'm like, I don't always want to be like, no, never. I'm like, yeah, sure, go for it. I don't want them for it to be like this, like hidden, forbidden thing. Like, this is my meth, right? Like, no, it's just, if you want to, ask me, I'll just, sure, whatever, get something small. It's not like frequent, but at dinner time, you get your food, sure. There's a fun little treat after. But with Colin, right, he'll just nibble. And this is like a new thing. He'll just nibble. And then I'm like, the rules, right? Okay, whatever. And then I might step away for a second. He instantly runs to Katie and he just like, he's like, oh, can I have a little treat? And Katie just melts for Colin. I'm like, what the? And then she like caves. I'm like, babe, you're no, like, you're doing this wrong. You're giving him the candy. Like, he didn't finish. Like, is that not obvious? So I don't know. I don't know. I feel like we've been failing the whole thing lately with Colin. I think Henry's a little bit more obedient, and Sienna eats everything, but Colin, we've been struggling with him lately.
My daughter, the 18-month-old, is getting wily about this stuff. So she'll like eat half the cheese stick and then put it in her thing with her Cheerios and save it for later. And then, like, the other day, I gave her so she had Reese's peanut butter cups, little mini ones, for the first time the other day.
Oh,
and I gave her some, and she chomped it down. And then she's figured out where the food is in the kitchen, so she'll like reach up and be like, "Here, I want that stuff." And so she figured out where the Reese's were, and she'd point to them. And so I gave her the first one, and then I shoved the second ones into her cup with her Cheerios and Goldfish, and how she eats Honey Nut Cheerios and Goldfish out of the same cup, I don't know, but she seems to love it. So, like powdered cheddar and Honey Nut Cheerios do not they're not all
1-year-old, man.
Okay, we're mixing the regular and Honey Nut, but I put them in there, and I'm like, okay, you go run. I thought she ate them. Like, she's really good about digging out the things she wants and putting them in her mouth, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
We're on this road trip home, and it's 4 a.m. because I like to drive at night because the kids are asleep and blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. I open the back door, and my kid is covered in what I thought was poop originally, from nose down to about, like, the middle of her bed area, right? And I'm like, oh, my God, what did you do in this car seat? And then I'm like, that it doesn't smell like it should smell, right? And I realized that she had left a Reese's cup in her Oreo or Cheerios thing, and she pulled it out, and she had just like held it and ate it for probably 20 minutes, and it was just everywhere. And I was like, well, good on you, kid. Like, you saved your dessert for later. I can appreciate that. But the number of times I've gone to refill that thing, and there's like a hunk of warm cheddar cheese in there, and I'm just like, what? I'm throwing this away. Like, this is not okay.
If she hasn't caught like food poisoning by now, she's fine. She's got just a cast iron stomach.
Yeah. Oh no,
she's building up her immunity.
She is. Well, and that's my wife. We have 2 dogs, and my wife's like, we have to have dogs when we have kids, and I'm like, okay, I get it, immune system, the whole thing. But the number of times I'd had a fish dog food out of my kid's mouth, like, look, this isn't for you. Like, it might be savory and delicious, but do not eat it. Okay, just
wait.
My kid was underneath the.
Are you able to see? Oh wait, hold up. Maybe it's a little bit too bright. So, we give. There he goes. So we give, our baby girl. Oh, low battery. We give our baby girl food in the back. We can't really see what she's doing. But if you're watching on YouTube, what I'm showing is just a picture of our baby girl in the back. And I don't know, those moments where there's just chocolate all over the seat, all over the face. And as a parent, you're just like, oh, my gosh. But I don't know, a small part is just like, oh, you cute little rascal. I love you, man. I love you, dude. It's just so adorable. I love their face. But it's annoying.
My son lost a piece of chocolate the other day. And all of a sudden, we were watching a movie, and he gets down, and I just hear him go, oh. I was like, oh, what? And he gets down, he goes under. We have like a couch and a love seat and a chair in our living room. And I'm sitting in the chair, and all of a sudden he's underneath the chair.
Yeah.
I'm like, what? I was like, buddy, what are you doing? And he's kind of real quiet. And he pops back up, and he looks at me, and he's just got his hand over his mouth. I was like, what are you eating? Yeah. What's in your mouth?
What did you take out from under the chair?
He had lost a piece of chocolate. Now, I didn't know how old the chocolate was. So I was like, has it been there for a day, 2 weeks, a month?
Right.
Like, where did this come from? Is it actually chocolate? Is it something else?
Right.
So come to find out, my wife had given him a piece of chocolate earlier in the day, and he had dropped it and forgotten about it. And the O was the light bulb going off that there was a half-eaten piece of chocolate underneath the chair.
Somewhere. I can find
somewhere.
it.
And he found it.
Leftovers.
I felt bad because I made him spit it out, and I threw it away. And I was like, I'll get you another one. But, like, we just can't eat carpet chocolate.
You know what, man? I don't know.
At least not today.
I think at this point I'm just so desensitized to it. Like, there's just so much goldfish in our car, right? There's goldfish and just leftover, just like shards of old granola bars or whatever. Every time we're loading the kids up into the car, Colin, Henry just, yeah. And before they even get to the seat, they just pick something up and just eat it. There it is. I'm like, what are you eating? And it just goldfish. M&M
from
and I'm
where?
Like, how old? You know what? Just buckle up. Don't even care.
It's fine. It's fine.
Listen,
as long as you don't puke by the time we get there, I'm good.
Yeah. Hey, man, over the last few weeks, it's happened so many times. Haven't had a single, I got to knock on wood. Haven't had a single Ebola outbreak or anything like that. Nothing. You know what? We're just gonna let it ride. So
my daughter's gotten really good at not dropping things because she has to beat the dogs to the treat. So if she drops a goldfish, like the likelihood that she's fast enough to get there before the 80-pound German Shepherd who will just bowl her over, or the 20-pound Cockapoo gets there first, is like, well, that's gone, kid.
So like, that's okay. Wait, Ben, do you have a dog?
I do.
Okay, so one of the biggest annoyances for me, especially with 1 to 2 years old, that phase, is just how much food just gets dropped on the ground, how much sweeping we have to do, and even older than that, there's just crumbs everywhere. They can't eat over the plate. It's just not what kids do, and there's just crumbs. You're constantly sweeping. It's just like, and it really bugs me. But with dogs, that is a really good advantage to having. I mean, there's companionship, there's love, there's part of the family, but like the
cleaning,
the built-in Roomba,
cleaning,
just I mean, is that not amazing for you guys?
Our dog used to be better about it, but so we have a 120-pound lab mix. He's a lab Dane pit mix, and used to be just an absolute hoover. Now he's like 12 and a half, 13 years old. His hips don't really work very well. So he, like, if it's near him and he can reach it without having to like get off his bed, he'll eat it. Or he'll wait until we leave and then he'll go and clean up around the table. But yeah, he's not chasing anything down much these days.
Yeah, so mine's the opposite. My German Shepherd can get to the counter without leaving all fours. So if it's on the counter and you're not paying attention, it's his, because as soon as he's on his hind legs, he's my height. And so he cleans up, and that dog is food motivated. Yeah. And he will do anything for a treat. And he does. He cleans up after. The downside is I literally have to have a Roomba to keep the fur and hair out of my house, chasing him around, because otherwise we'd be vacuuming every room of the house every day, just cleaning up fur. So I'm not cleaning up goldfish, but I am emptying Roombas 2 or 3 times a week just to make sure that the dog hair is under control. So God bless Roomba for that one. Thank you. I guess it's Amazon now who owns Roomba, but it wasn't recently.
Does Amazon own Roomba now?
Soon. Yeah, isn't that scary?
When did
Roomba
I miss
takes map
that?
of your house.
Oh yeah.
And now Amazon owns Roomba, so Amazon has all the maps of all your houses, and they can market to you
that?
for free. It's
How
like
long has
6
that
months
been?
ago or so.
Because we don't pay attention. Because that's the way the world works now. I just assume it's either owned by like
Google or
Procter and Gamble, Google, Amazon, possibly Disney.
Have you heard about BlackRock?
And they're just all owned by BlackRock, so it doesn't matter anyways.
BlackRock runs
It's
the world.
fine. It's fine. Everything's fine.
BlackRock is. Anyway, that's anyway.
That's a conversation for maybe a different podcast.
Paranoia podcast.
Yeah, right. That's
the
Paranoia podcast, not on any mainstream podcasting channels, because that would be.
You can't.
They find us.
Don't succumb to the man.
Yeah, right.
So I do have a question for everybody. So when you were going through, so 2 questions actually. So introductions to foods. What were the first foods you did? And like what ones worked really well? So like, did you have like a go-to thing, whether it was like veggie sticks, or I think you said roasted vegetables were super easy for you. So getting started, like what was the easiest thing? And then the second question, we'll do a follow-up discussion, is when your kids started eating, how did you feel? Because I know I had a lot of feelings about like, purees were okay, but once we started getting to like real solid foods, like, we would do like edamame and all kinds of stuff, and like your kid starts to make all kinds of weird noises. Like, what was that like? Because it's now that we're through it, it's different. But so we'll start with like favorite foods, like stuff that really worked for getting your kids into food, and then we'll go to we'll talk a little fear after.
All right, Andrew, you go first.
Yeah.
Okay. So I started with I went into the Gerber section, and then I did the Gerber on Amazon, but I did all of the like sitter foods, right? Like I was like, okay, she can sit up on her own. She can have all this stuff. And so the starter foods were nothing I prepared. They were all like the yogurt bites, those little corn packing peanut things that like dissolve instantly.
Oh yeah.
I bought every flavor of those. We had those little star puff things that are in like all the different flavors.
And the peanut-shaped canister.
Yeah, and that weird shaped canister.
Yeah, and like the star-shaped puffs
that does not fit neatly into any bag you own.
No, and when you open it and pour it out, you're like, it doesn't weigh any different. What the hell did I just buy?
Yeah.
Like,
this is it.
It's all just air.
Yeah, there's nothing there. So we started with like all of that stuff after we were done. Like it was weird. So we did formula. We never really breastfed. So, and that's one of the things we skipped on feeding is we never had any issues with nipple confusion. And so I think that's a big, like, I don't know. I don't understand that one because it didn't happen with either of my kids. But then we went to purees, and then I always like ate in front of the kids. So like if I'd be eating chicken wings, I'd be staring at my kid eating chicken wings, and she'd be watching me and it'd be like, well, grow teeth and then I'll give you some. Like, right. It was this very much a dialogue of like, when you're ready, you can have this. And so
I do it just to assert dominance.
Well, and so as soon as she kind of had teeth and was sitting, I was like, I don't know, do you like this? And I would just shove chunks of whatever I was eating into her mouth. I mean, she probably had shrimp at under 6 months. I know she had peanut butter because we just scraped some onto her teeth, right? I'm trying to think what else. Like when she finally had top and bottom teeth, I actually would let her bite pistachios. So I'd like hold them and she'd chunk them so she could like chew up pistachios. Because I knew they were small enough she could swallow them whole. But she got really good at like chewing things well before she had molars. Wow. And so for me, it wasn't a particular food, but I really did follow that like Gerber Foods, sitter, standing walker. And then by the time I could put like chicken and stars in her mouth in a spoon and she just ate it and there were no issues, I was like, okay, she
can eat whatever now, basically.
She can eat whatever. And then once we had, I want to say it was like 3 or 4 bottom teeth and a couple top teeth, and she could actually like snap things off, I would let her do cheese. Cheese sticks are like those little square single serving like Tillamook cheddar things. Yep. And then we recently started doing Baby Bells.
Yep.
And that was all at under a year to a year. Because once she was like her first birthday, I mean, I was doing things like, do you like pepperoncinis? Like, do you like olives? Right. Her first birthday had a charcuterie board. And I was like, the only thing that didn't go in her mouth were the gummy bears. Because I was like, I don't think she can masticate those well enough not to choke. And so I was like, gummy bears are not happening, but almost everything else on there went in. We were doing like slices of almond. So it really was just, I don't know, will you eat this? Hey, you will. Okay, you didn't choke. But as the follow-up to your second question, oh my God, the gagging sounds this kid made for the first year of her life.
What I was going to hit on.
Sent me into heart attacks on more than one occasion.
Yeah.
Dude,
like, I mean, I have never leapt out of a recliner faster in my entire life. And by the time I get there, she's like, I'm good, Dad.
Okay, yeah. So, on that note, it's a very jarring sound. And I remember specifically with a lot of things, with the, you mentioned like these dried yogurt melts.
Yeah. The yogurt melts. When they're learning to swallow them.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Damn kids, they gagged on those so much. And Henry, I remember those. It was just like so scary, and he would just go, and we would just like jump, right?
Oh yeah. You think they're dying?
You think they're dying, but it's actually in a way. There's a I mean, if a slight
they're learning how to swallow.
They're learning how to get something back up, and they're learning a very important skill of like the gag reflex, what it does, and how to force something back up so they can get it up and chew it down, and then get it back down. So I remember with our first, really scared about that gag sound. Second, still scary. Third, Sienna did it a bunch, and we're just like, she's got it. Get it up. All right, good girl. Good. You know,
only 2 times in her 18 months, like knock on wood here, has she like gagged to the point where it came out because she was out of control, right? But the rest of them, she has managed to gag it up, chew it up, or just get it down and solve that problem. And as weird as this sounds, I think the way we handled food and solids has mitigated the entire teething process. Because I have not had a kid complain about their gums or like those little, she won't do the like frozen chewy things. We tried them for a while, like, here, chew on this. And she had like the little teether rubber things, and they definitely had teeth marks in them where she was chewing on them, right? But like this idea of a kid awake, just screaming because their teeth hurts, and right, you're like, I don't know, just rub whiskey on their gums, right? That whole like insanity that you hear about in the media. I understand. I'm just right. There's all of that, like teething is terrible.
Yeah.
I don't know, either have the best kid on the planet or how we were feeding her at that stage mitigated the entire teething process.
Well, and it's like if you're more comfortable giving them foods too, you can give them things like we would do like frozen cucumber sticks, right? Something that we knew he could chew up really easily. But that was like his teethers. We knew he liked cucumbers, and we could freeze them and then hand him like a little cucumber ice pop. And he would just gnaw on that, and it made his gums feel better.
Yep.
So like I know for us, kind of going back to the top of the question, like our favorite foods, as I mentioned before, we used to do the 2-ingredient pancakes. Those were super simple. They come out like little crepes, basically. Those were really easy. We would chop up like soft vegetables. We did a lot of roasted vegetables, like sweet potatoes. We did asparagus a little later once he had more teeth, just because it's a little tougher to bite through.
Fibrous.
Like roasted green beans were really easy. He loved edamame. And this is where the second part of my question came from, is because we were at an Asian restaurant. We had ordered edamame. He loved them, and he was able to like actually get them out on his own. So we would hand him the whole thing. Yeah,
hand him the bean pod, and he was popping them.
We'd hand him the bean pod, and he would actually pop it out on his own and eat it.
Good finger dexterity for him.
The issue was though, is when he bit one of them, part of the skin came off, and it stuck to the roof of his mouth. And I remember just sitting in the restaurant hearing this just unholy sound coming out of my child, and everyone in the restaurant starts looking at us. And I was like, what do I do? I was like, he's not choking. I think he's okay. And like, we don't want to like tap him on the back. And like, eventually after 3 or 4 times, he just brought it back up. We pulled it out of his mouth, and he went back to eating, and he was perfectly okay. Giving them like a lot of our favorite foods were like soft meats, so like pot roast. Surprisingly, once we got through shellfish, he loves lobster. He has a very expensive taste. So like I would get these lobster rolls and get like I'll get some extra meat in case he wants to try it. He ate half of my lobster roll. He was like 16 or 18 months old, and he took bread, lobster, everything, all of it. It was just kept doing his more.
Yeah,
like,
our daughter
was like, dude, more. Like, I don't have any dinner left.
Not
like,
in this economy. Not with inflation. No more for you.
This $35 4-ounce lobster roll. You just ate 2 of them. Roll.
But steaks, all kinds of stuff. Once you get over that, I feel like once you get over that fear of you can see them able to get the food back up, it really opens up the world on what you're willing to give them.
I'll just go quick on mine. A similar approach to what Andrew mentioned. We did what was the brand? Just like little pouches with the little spout, and we would kind of we would just squirt it onto
organic applesauce stuff.
Yeah. We did the frou organic, whatever. It doesn't matter. There's metal in all of them apparently. So so we would like put them onto a little baby spoon, and then it got to a point where they just sucked it down. But when the teeth came in and they were eating, the main go-tos were avocado, cut with like this little wavy crinkle cutter so they can grab it easier. Avocado, banana, and then those are the mains. And then scrambled eggs was a main go-to for us. Just one egg scrambled up. I think all of our kids shoveled down scrambled eggs as fast as possible. And then oddly enough, taco meat was quite a popular one. We would kind of go easy on like the seasoning, so it wasn't as intense and bold. And we always went mild. We didn't go spicy. And they really like taco meat quite a bit. And we would sometimes there'd be like a little bit of Spanish rice, so it'd be Spanish rice and taco meat. We just threw it, and it was a mess, guys. I'm not saying that this was a clean affair by any means. It was a mess. And cleaning up rice on the ground is so annoying because you can't just like broom it up. Like you can't sweep that.
Cooked rice.
That's where you need a dog.
Sticky.
That's where you need a dog, or you do what we do. We get lazy. We just leave it and let it dry. So the next morning it sweeps up dried, and it's so easy. But it's the amount of like the amount of taming of my OCD that I had to be okay with that was a huge mountain. But
you think that's messy? Try feeding your kid any Indian food.
Oh, bro.
Chicken tikka masala. Butter
That's
chicken.
some heat there, isn't there a lot of heat with that?
I order them very mild because my wife hates spice. But there's a photo on the Discord, but my kid will take a piece of naan, dip it into chicken tikka masala, and bite it. Like, good kid. And I'm going, I love this kid. Like,
that's
the chicken, awesome. Grabbing a piece of chicken and eating it, not so much. But dipping is our current. We're working on all the sauces. And,
the sauces are...
But I swear to God, Indian food, when your kid grabs a handful of curry and just goes like this, and you're like, oh, God. And you look over, and she's just covered.
Better hope it's a bath night.
Yeah, it's just, that's going to be a 4 wet wiper. That's a moment. Right?
Man, I think the thing we were most conscious about was... just a choking hazard. That was something that we were always super scared of. So anytime we would give them food, if it was like cheese sticks, right? We would cut them up super small into like tiny little bites where it's like, this isn't going to get jammed in your throat. You can gum it down or you can chew it to the point where you can chew and swallow. But that's something, even still to this day, even she's past a year, she's able to manage a lot. We make sure that we shred up the chicken really good, or we cut it into good sized pieces, particularly with meats, because that protein is kind of hard to really chew up. They don't have
proteins are tough.
Those back.
I'm living dangerously then, because my kid gets the whole
nuts,
mozzarella cheese stick. Like, she gets the whole thing. She's running around at 18 months.
I mean,
with this little
especially like real Montessori baby led weaning. Like, you give them a cheese stick and it's cut to the right size already, and they learn how to manage it well. We're just really. Maybe we're doing a disservice by like cutting it too perfectly.
We do whole chicken strips. Like, I'll just give her a chicken strip and let her bite through all of it, bread and everything. And
they manage.
I'm trying to think of what else weird, big like that. I mean, so different thought, and actually Ben reminded me of this. If there's a dad hack to come out of this, if you take your children to a restaurant, do not tell them you have children. Just say, I have X number of adults. Like, and when you show up with 3 kids and they're like, wait, but you said 5. I said, yeah, I want 5 chairs for adults because I got all this. And you're not going to park me at a table for 2 with 2 kids or right. Or I got 2 adults and 3 kids and you want to park me at a table for no, I want a table for 6.
Space.
Like,
we need the space. Yeah.
I always round up to the next even number, and I always tell them it's all adults, even if I'm showing up with kids, because like, it's just insane how many of these places want to like, oh, kids take no space. That's not true.
Do you guys
do that kid takes up twice as much space as I do.
Do you guys opt for restaurant high chairs, or keep them in stroller with a snack tray attached, or do you bring your own high chair?
So depends. Until she was walking, she stayed in Arduna.
Okay.
And she didn't get a meal. She just ate whatever bottle or package, right? Sure. We brought it and fed it. Yep. Once she started to walk, I bought this origami strap it to any chair high chair. Okay. And it's basically a booster seat, and I think I linked it in the Discord, but I can link it again. It was not cheap, but it is the best thing I've ever purchased because it collapses to basically the size of an 11 by 17 sheet of paper, little smaller. It's got a shoulder strap. The shoulder strap also doubles as the thing that you use to strap it to the chair, and you can strap it to any chair anywhere. It's got a 5-point harness. I harness her in, I push her all the way in, and she sits at the table just like everybody else and eats off a plate. And she's learned how to drink out of a straw. And so she takes up an adult size space at a table, and she usually sits next to myself or my wife, and we do our own high chair. Occasionally we'll put her in the restaurant high chair if it's easier, but nope. I just if I'm in a booth is when I use the restaurant high chair.
Yeah. So our 3-year-old does 3-year-old is in his own chair, grown up size chair. We did restaurant high chairs for a little while, but we always found they were either disgusting or broken. So
always
they just very few places had good quality high chairs.
Yeah.
So we would usually not put him in one if we could avoid it. We'd either sit him with one of us, or he would sit, in his own seat or whatever it was. Mm-hmm. Now, one of the things that we found, and this was through some work that we did with Veer, is the Veer switch and roll system. That seat actually converts to a booster seat. So you can actually pop it off of the stroller, fold the bottom underneath, and it comes with these straps. So you can actually strap it to a chair.
Strap it to a chair. Oh, that's cool.
So you can kind of take out your own, your
Have you done it
dual
yet?
booster seat. I haven't done it yet. It looks really cool, but that's going to be like our new system.
That's
if we need one, that's going to be our setup, because we have like a portable high chair that we can use places and all that stuff. But what we found is most portable high chairs, like once your kids start getting a little chunky, like their thighs get stuck, and then now I'm thinking about like, well, how do I cut the material out, and then is it really safe and all that? I'd rather just have something dedicated, or get to a point where my kid just sits in a grown-up chair, and eats and carries themselves like an adult at the restaurant.
Here's what happened with us.
Our big reason why we have
sorry. So what happened with us was Henry. The last time that we went to, it was a Chili's, and no shot at Chili's here, but we used one of their high chairs, and Henry was eating off of it. He was sitting there, and I guess they touch everything, they put it in their mouth, and you do the best to to sanitize it all. Then he got this wicked stomach bug. So ever since then, we don't really use restaurant high chairs as much. When the kids are like 3+, they're just in a regular seat. Leading up to it, we now have this thing called it's called a perch. It's from a brand called Guzzy and Gus. It's called the perch, and it's like this thing where you just like snap it onto like this edge of a table, and then you just like kind of bolt it on. It's a quick setup time. Sometimes it can make the table a little top heavy or whatever, and like bring it down. So we have to be strategic about where we like mount it. But for the most part, we bring that, and then we'll just kind of wipe down the table, or like have this little what's it called, placemat type thing, so that they can eat off of. But yeah, we I don't know. Ever since that Chili's episode, we haven't really used restaurant high chairs as much. I mean, sometimes we do. Yeah. But yeah, that's our approach there.
Do you guys bring your own mats?
No. What do you do for that? What do you do for that? Because I wanted, I don't know if it exists yet, but I wanted to invent this thing with just like these mats that you can just like lay out, stick temporarily. They're like biodegradable or whatever. You could just throw them out, but like, it'd be so nice if they're just like these mats.
We use this thing called a busy mat. That's super, super flexible. So it's a silicone mat that has like kind of a little, it kind of makes just a little eating area, especially for kids that are, not using utensils or anything yet. But it has suction cups on the bottom, so it'll stick to any like flat surface. Now, textured surfaces, natural wood tables, those are always tough. But it's completely washable, so you just like run in the bathroom, rinse it off, and you're done. The biggest plus about it has been when your kid is in their throwing phase, you have these tethers that actually stick. There's like a little knob with a hole in it, and there's these tethers you can stick to the mat and then tether the toy to the mat. So if you're out somewhere and they have their sippy cup and they're trying to throw it, you can actually tether it so they can't throw it off the table. And then the other upside of that is like, our kids love to chew on like shopping cart handles when we were out.
Oh yeah.
And so with the busy mat, you can actually pop it, like put it over itself and fold it, and then stick the suction cups to each other, so that they chew on that instead of chewing on the onto the shopping cart handles or the metal or whatever's in front of them.
Ben,
but it makes life a little easier.
Do me a favor, drop a link in our little private chat here so that we can see it. And anyone who's listening up to this point, thanks for being with us for an hour, basically. But what I'll do is all the stuff that we're talking about, I'll just like drop the links for all these things in the show notes so that you can like see it. Andrew dropped a link for the the instant pop-up booster seat thing that he was talking about.
Booster seat? Yeah.
The bomb ball instant pop-up booster seat. I'm looking at it right now. He wasn't lying when he said that it's not cheap. The thing is $250, but it's off 48% off for a whopping $130 right now.
It looks awesome though.
It looks legit though, but yeah, I mean, I see
You haven't mentioned it yet, but check this out.
Oh my gosh.
Dad and daughter matching.
You got a Dad Verb onesie. Yo, that's real awesome. Quick. How long did it take for the merch to get to you?
I don't know, like a week, maybe 2.
Really?
10 days at the most.
I bought my own merch. It took me 3 weeks for my own merch to get to me. I was so pissed. I'm like dogging on my own stuff. Like, what the? It took 3 weeks to get to me. I'm so mad. Hey.
Anyway, yeah. Wearing our Dad Verb stuff.
Oh my gosh. Look at those eyes, man.
Yep. Carrying our juice.
Beautiful.
See?
Oh,
that's how we roll.
Man, anyway. I miss my daughter right now. I want to go wake her up. Cuddle.
But yeah.
That is so fun, man. That's hey, I love that. Hey, look at that. We have merch.
Cameo.
Anyone who's wondering.
Yeah. Really?
I was supposed to I told all the mods in our Discord too, hey, I'm gonna send you stuff, and they gave me their addresses, and I just took a big fat dump on them, and I haven't sent it to them.
Yeah, well,
I'm so sorry.
The best part about that is you said send me your addresses, and then you didn't accept anybody's friend invite, so we could message you directly.
I accepted one, so I'm so bad.
Man, this guy.
I'll admit I'm not good at responding to effing DMs and messages and all that stuff, or keeping my word, frankly. Listen, I'm just laying out a bunch of negatives about myself right now.
No, you're good. It's
good,
fine.
Man.
I don't think anybody's upset. It was just kind of funny.
Yeah, I swear, Josh, if you're listening to this, you're gonna get you some. All the mods in our Discord. I swear to you, I'm working on this.
I should go check tracking, because I bet you I can. It didn't take long. Like it was.
I don't know what happened. My order took me like 3 weeks. I got this. It actually is pretty badass. It's I was actually really happy with the quality of it, because I use this third party. I use like Teespring. It's not. I don't make my own stuff. It's just a way for creators to help like monetize. But it's this like desk mat, right? And I'm actually surprised with how good it actually is. It's I like it. So I'm a fan of my desk mat here. So, but anyway, okay, so. Do we have time?
Distraction.
To Ben, did we answer your questions enough? I feel like there's a second half of that question.
No, they were good. Yeah, no, okay. The second half the first half was like what foods worked for you,
right?
Which you with the scrambled eggs reminded me. Rice and eggs was a great, like just white rice, scrambled eggs, mix it together to kind of soften everything, was awesome.
Yeah, we did that. We did.
We talked about favorite foods, and then just like your experience with the gagging. So. Yeah. If you're out there and you're starting your kids on foods, they will gag. They will sound like they're choking.
It's going to happen.
Be patient. 99% of the time, they're going to be fine. Maybe brush up on your infant CPR just in case.
Yeah.
But
there's a great device that just came out that's like the anti-choking thing. Yeah.
We don't have that, but that's a good $20. You should. Everyone should have that.
I was like, we're putting one in each car, and I'm putting 2 in the house, because it just gave me that peace of mind that the worst case scenario is I can plunger my kid's face until the food comes out. Like it's as dumb as it sounds. It's a plunger for your face, and it works for adults.
It's one of the most effective Facebook targeted ads I've ever seen. It's like they showed like this mashed up grape inside the dechoker, because some baby, they had like the footage of it. It was like a security camera in the kitchen or whatever, and the mom like rushed over, and the kid was just like they couldn't get it up. It's when you don't hear the gagging, that's when it's actually scary. Yeah. Gagging, it's sound. That means oxygen's coming up and down.
Stop gagging.
It's when it's silence. That's when it's scary. So she got the dechoker. She plunged this grape out of his throat, and it was like, okay, I'm buying it. That was a very effective.
Do you know why? You know what sold me on it? It wasn't for my kids. I was confident I could Heimlich almost anything out of my kid, right? They might come up with a broken rib, or I might feel really bad later, and but mine was, I had my gallbladder removed, and I am not a small man, and my wife could not even lift me to get me out of bed to like go to the bathroom. Like I literally had to fight my way through the pain of holes in my abdomen to go use the restroom, right? And that's what sold it for me. Like, if I am ever actually choking because Andrew took too big a bite of brisket because he was being a glutton, right? I need my wife to be able to grab this plunger and put it on my mouth and get the food out of me while I'm on the ground, not the kid.
Kids
that
will
was
be
the
okay.
one. That was the one that clinched it for me. Was I wasn't worried I couldn't take care of the kid, or that it was, as an adult, I need to be able to take care of other adults as well. And this is a two-for device, right?
Works for
and
everybody.
it was almost a no-brainer.
Real
Although
quick,
I'm the guy that if somebody would sell it to me, I'd put an AED in my house, but they won't sell them to me because they're like these
Can't
weird
legally
certified.
buy them.
Right. Like, I don't care if it's $3,000. I want one, and I want it on my wall.
real quick, we quickly breached the topic of CPR. If you don't know, it's actually really important to kind of figure out some sort of take some sort of CPR class. I mean, they're available online or whatever. But just general. I mean, you can even watch YouTube videos.
Your
But
local Red Cross
there you go.
does them for free.
For
usually,
free. So
almost every hospital will do one too.
with babies, you're not doing the normal Heimlich that you would do, an adult or whatever. You're actually, it's more of a hitting the back kind of a thing. Just watch a YouTube video. Don't just listen to me. Do your due diligence.
Do your due diligence.
But it's not what you think. If a 6-month-old is choking, you're not gonna grab him from behind and do a Heimlich. It's different. So just heads up, guys. Heads up.
Another one that's on that same note. There's an excellent Grey's Anatomy episode about exactly that. Where there's another Andrew's Dirty Secrets. I like medical dramas.
House was the best one.
House was amazing.
I loved House. I didn't watch too many medical dramas, but House is great.
There's a Grey's Anatomy where this little kid's choking and the nurse is like, what do I do? And the ER doctor comes up, flip the kids over, and just goes, bam! And the mother's losing her mind because he is literally beating this child. And
you're striking him on the back.
Grape or whatever. But all of a sudden, it popped out and the kid starts breathing. And like, he just abused my kid. Look.
Yeah.
This is you have to use some adult size force here. This isn't like it's gonna be okay.
Yeah, when you take an infant CPR course, they will tell you, like, one of the big things they talk about is like your back blows have to be hard enough to get the food out, which means your child will recover from a broken rib. They will not recover from choking to death.
Right.
So like your option is like you might hurt them, but they'll survive and they'll be okay. One of the course that I took was through Tiny Hood.
Yeah, that's another
which
big.
Is, so
they have a lot of
it's a membership based one, so you do have to pay for that. So there's a ton of stuff in there, and I think you can kind of add things on. But I ended up taking their infant CPR course, really, really well done. And I'm very fortunate enough that my wife is also a nurse, so she had access to one of the like infant CPR dolls. So I actually got to practice on one of the ones before I had a kid, and didn't have to borrow anybody's baby to practice back blows.
Yeah. Well,
it sounds terrible, but that's what they are, right? And it's, if you're looking at it out of context, you're like, what is he doing to that child, right? But in context, it's necessary. Yeah. You know what we skipped here entirely was, and it just occurred to me, juices, milks, drinks, sugar content. Like, what do you do for your kids? Because for me, that was a huge, like, I am not going to have a diabetic 4-year-old because I shoved it full of ocean spray for the first 3 years of its life, right? We're over time, but we totally skipped the drinks part of this conversation.
Well, up to the first year, they're not really doing too much. It's just milk, right? It's
milk,
water. Yeah, right. So, but then really the water really started to kick in a little bit more for us, after the 12-month. I don't know. We're not like sugar Nazis or anything like that, but we just don't, like, for me personally, I don't really drink too much like juices or sodas. I just mostly stick with water. And we have like honest juices and stuff like that, but I don't know. It's never been something that our kids have argued too much about. And I think it's just partially because they just haven't been exposed to as much of it. Sure, like they love like Sprite and stuff like that. So if they go, if we're going to a little restaurant, Chick-fil-A or whatever, they'll ask for their Sprites and we'll give them their Sprites and it's totally fine. But for the most part, they're just drinking waters at school. It's like a new thing that they always have to have, like these water bottles. We've got like, it's just there's just so much water intake, and it's just what they want. It's just what they're exposed to the most. But yeah, occasionally they'll have a couple sodas and drink and juice boxes and Capri Suns. we just don't have too much of it in our house. And for the most part, they're asking, "Hey, mom, dad, can you get us our water?" So
we're the same way.
That's never been too much of an issue for us, but we just kind of stick with water.
My wife will not drink water for the most part. She goes through 2 gallons of milk a week herself. So
really,
like she drinks milk like it's water. And so this wild idea that our kid was going to drink water was kind of never going to happen. Cause I will drink water, but I drink a lot of iced tea. Like it's just black tea and flavored water for all intents and purposes.
Yeah.
And so that was one of the ones that was like, okay, what do you do when it comes to juices in terms of what do you feed the kid? And ironically, she loves orange juice. Yeah. We dilute everything because it is all way too sugary and way too sweet.
Half and half water whenever you're out somewhere.
I'll look into my Feeding Littles course because I think in the Feeding Littles course they do talk about like drinks and stuff like that. But that's one of the courses that I never really breached on because I was just never something that I just never cared about. But I can look into it and let you know.
Mott's did a whole line called Mott's for Tots.
It's super watered down. It's really we have it. We have some of that.
And the other one that we've found we really enjoy is V8 Splashes.
Oh, yeah.
All the V8 Splashes water down really well for kids, and they're all like full servings of vegetables and juice, right? So we've been going that route, but it was really interesting. My daughter actually likes cran raspberry juice. Go figure. Like, I know adults who won't drink cran raspberry juice, and here I am feeding my kid like, here, try this. Dad likes it. Here's cran grape. Try this. Dad likes it, and she is killing it.
Is it cran raspberry juice cocktail or 100% juice?
So I buy. This is the only Ocean Spray product she drinks, but I buy Ocean Spray's cran raspberry juice. It's just a straight, and I dilute it in water, and she loves it. She will not drink straight V8 though. Like tomato juice V8, she won't do it. She doesn't. That's a full vegetable she's not into. But
interesting.
That was just.
Yeah, we do the. For us, we don't do a lot of sugary drinks. We just kind of try to avoid it because it's just it's a lot of empty calories. We don't drink a lot of soda or anything in our house. Like if we do have sodas, it's a little, like 100-calorie Coca-Colas or whatever, where we get a little too rowdy at the pool on the weekend or whatever, and you need just like to recover on a Sunday. That's basically why they're there.
Ben says he drinks his Kickstart right there on his desk.
This is a liquid death separate
liquid
lime.
Death. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Oh, the lime one. Okay.
Yeah, the lime ones are good.
Listen,
but yeah, for juice and stuff, it's just we shop at Costco, so like the honest organic juices are great because they're like 35 calories. There's not a bunch of sugar in them. If you taste them, it's like
watered
apple
down.
Juice is like someone passed water over the outside of an apple and then put it in a box.
Yeah.
Like that's about as concentrated as it gets. So
another one is Hint. They also make like a kids, which is even more watered down than
how can you water
already watered down?
Dude, Hint is literally what the brand is. It's like like water with a tiny hint of watermelon. I was expecting a little bit more. I was like, bro, it's even to the point where my kids are kind of like, nah.
They just drain the water off the watermelon patch and bottle.
Right.
That's a great one.
Dude.
My daughter will eat watermelon by the fistful.
Oh yeah,
I don't even have to cut them down. She'll just
if you need to hydrate your kids, give them watermelon.
Yeah. Watermelon, yeah, dude. It's our kids just have been dominating fruit. It's peach season right now. There's so many good peaches. They've been jamming on good soft peaches. We've been getting them at Costco, but. Anyway, guys, we've been running over for about an hour and 12 minutes. If you guys don't mind, I think what I'd like to do is maybe table our conversation about like travel, road trips and all that. Maybe for another episode, we'll bring Andrew back on because he's got a couple trips under his belt recently. I've got air travel coming up here in a little bit. We'll be flying with all 3 kids. So, we can make it a little episode about travel tips.
Should do a whole travel one. Find somebody who's put a kid on a motorcycle.
Oh boy!
Like, we all know it's a bad idea. No one's really done it, but come on.
Oh man, yeah. So we'll save that one for the next episode, and we'll might bring Andrew back on for that. But we'll save it. But for now, do you guys have any closing thoughts on foods, or are you guys ready to kind of wrap up here?
No. I mean, I think my biggest closing thought is don't limit your kids' food intake by your dietary expectations for yourself.
That's an important
right?
one. Mm-hmm.
If you're a vegan, that doesn't mean your kid isn't going to need to eat hot dogs or like hot dogs or steak or burgers or right. They need to experience that stuff. And so that would be my biggest one is Andrew hates bananas, but my daughter has eaten bananas because she needs to have the full range. And I guess that's the biggest takeaway I have is don't limit something from your kid's life just because you don't like it.
That's a really good
in terms of food.
thought. That's a really good closing thought. Don't let your personal biases impact or limit what your kids get exposed to. I'm the same way. I'm not a big fan of avocados, which I know I'm the only one, but our daughter, I think it's a good, important thing for her to be exposed to. So we let her have it. All right, Ben, you got anything?
Just don't be afraid. I know that's a really challenging thing to say is like, don't be afraid, but like along the same lines as Utah, Andrew, right? Like, don't be afraid to expose your kids to different foods. Don't be afraid to let them try things. And your kids are I think in anything, your kids are much more capable than you give them credit for if they're allowed to have that experience.
There you go. Well, guys, we're going to wrap things up here. Everything that we talked about in this episode, from some of the products that we mentioned, the Tiny Hood course, CPR things, the Feeding Littles course, I'm just going to have that all in the show notes so that you can, click through if that's something that you're interested in. And I might even try to find that D choker that we talked about and drop that in there as well.
I linked it.
You linked it as well?
Yeah, cool, I think Ben linked it as well. I think there's two different versions.
Full disclosure, if we can get an affiliate link here, it'll be affiliate link. But I feel like for the most part, there are not going to be any affiliate links. But hey, buying through those links does help support the channel. Listen, we really appreciate you guys following along for an hour and 15 minutes that we've been chatting here. It's really good to be able to hear from a growing community of dads out there, whether you're listening here on Spotify or on YouTube, you're watching us, or Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, wherever. We'd appreciate any sort of review that you have for us. And that helps us know that you're liking this stuff. And as always, if you have any sort of requests or questions for us, let us know, whether that's on the Discord or in the comment section in the YouTube, and we'll be there to read it. So thank you guys for listening, for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one, where we're going to chat about a little bit of summer travel. Appreciate that, or appreciate your time. Peace, guys. Later.